43. The end of the nation-state. Why borders weakened, but didn't disappear. The prediction, what we thought. As the internet spread and capital went global in the late 1990s, a provocative idea gained traction: the nation-state would lose its relevance. Borders would matter less. Governments would struggle to tax mobile wealth. Individuals would become economically sovereign, choosing jurisdictions like products. Power would flow away from states and toward networks, cities, corporations, and highly mobile people. In this future, allegiance would be optional. Geography would loosen its grip. The state, built for an industrial age, would wither in a digital one. Standing in 1999, this sounded daring but logical. Money, information, and identity were already slipping the leash. Why this prediction made sense in 1999? The late 1990s offered compelling evidence. At the time, capital moved across borders at unprecedented speed. The internet ignored geography by design. Supranational trade regimes were expanding. The Cold War's ideological map had collapsed. States appeared clumsy next to markets. Bureaucracies moved slowly while networks scaled instantly. Taxation looked fragile in a world of offshore accounts and digital assets. This belief fit perfectly with millennium-era optimism that individuals would gain leverage over institutions. The 20th century had centralized power, the 21st would distribute it. For younger readers today, it's important to recall how triumphant globalization felt in 1999. Democracy had won. Markets were ascendant. Borders seemed like legacy friction rather than destiny. Who said it, and where? The most influential articulation of this vision came from The Sovereign Individual, 1997, which argued that digital technology would undermine the fiscal and coercive foundations of the modern state. The authors contended that as wealth became more mobile and encryption protected privacy, governments would struggle to enforce taxation and control. Power would shift toward individuals who could opt in or out of national systems. The argument wasn't that states would vanish overnight, but that their core authority would erode. In 1999, this felt like a cold, clear-eyed reading of technological trajectory. What actually happened 2000 to 2025? Nation-states did not collapse. Instead, they adapted, and in some cases reasserted themselves. Over the next 2 decades, states coordinated globally on taxation and regulation. Borders tightened around security and migration. Governments expanded digital surveillance and enforcement. National identity resurged in politics. While globalization continued, it did so unevenly. Crises, financial shocks, pandemics, geopolitical conflict pulled power back toward the state. In moments of fear, people looked to governments, not networks. At the same time, some elements of the prediction proved prescient. Capital remained mobile. Corporations wielded enormous influence. Cities became economic powerhouses. Individuals curated digital identities that transcended nationality. By 2025, the state had not ended, but it no longer monopolized power the way it once did. Verdict: status false, in progress. Nation-states did not collapse. However, their authority has been challenged, reshaped, and partially redistributed. The prediction overstated speed and finality, but captured a real shift in how power is contested. Why it played out this way? The core error was underestimating the state's resilience. Nation-states aren't just economic units. They provide security, legitimacy, welfare, and identity. When uncertainty rises, those functions matter more, not less. There was also a strategic adaptation. States learned to regulate platforms, coordinate internationally, and use digital tools themselves. The same technologies that threatened state power also strengthened it. The future didn't dissolve borders. It made them negotiable. What this prediction teaches us about the future. This case illustrates a crucial lesson. Institutions rarely disappear, they mutate. Predictions that imagine clean endings often miss how power reconfigures under pressure. The nation-state proved less brittle than anticipated, even as its monopoly weakened. In 1999, the end of the nation-state symbolized liberation from old constraints. In 2026, it symbolizes a more complicated truth: power fragments, but it also recenters. The future delivered tension, not termination. One sentence takeaway: the nation-state didn't die, it learned how to compete.